Hey everyone, it's me, Katie-Beth again, and today we're at Dodger Stadium, and we've got a lot planned today. We're going to go on a tour of Dodger Stadium.
We're gonna get some Dodger dogs.
We're gonna learn some history, and we're gonna watch a game. So come on with us to Dodger Stadium. So our tour was scheduled for an hour before park opening, and we got there a little early, started lining up, and then they let us in a little early. And as soon as we came in, they gave us our free jersey for the night, because it was free jersey night. Sizing options, they only had medium or extra large. Now let's go on our pre-game tour of Dodger Stadium. So the tour was $50 a person, and consisted of a lot of walking and looking at trophy cases. So to save you time and money, let me condense that 45-minute walk into a 5-minute or less show and show you pretty much exactly what you get for that money. And so you don't feel left out, here's the audio for the talking part of the tour.
Here at Dodger Stadium. So throughout this hallway, we have 33 luxury suites. If you ever do end up getting that experience or choosing to have that experience for a game, you can expect typically it's going to be 25 tickets per suite. They give you that 10 parking passes with that. You can order food and beverage as much as you'd like in there. There's a dessert cart that comes by. It's a lot of fun. So cool experience to have. So we'll walk through the suite hallway. The next thing we're going to do, we'll head down an escalator to get down to the first level, the field level, where we have some awards and trophies. Just wanted to point out this awesome one right here. It's a quote from Jackie Robinson. Life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. I just always love that quote. I'm going to try to remind every tour of that, just the way that Jackie Robinson lived, and one of the big things we believe in here at the Dodgers. So follow me down this hallway.
So just a little awkward break in the middle of the tour. I was waiting for her to bring it up in the tour at some time, but she never did, but it doesn't exactly show the stadium in a great light, so I get why. But I wanted to talk a little about Chavez Ravine. So when I was looking up stuff for the stadium, I kept finding articles about Chavez Ravine and how it basically stole homes from families so they could build a stadium in that spot. And that stadium was Dodgers Stadium. But it's not all Dodgers' fault, like all the media and articles I was reading kind of pose it as. It was more the government's fault and the state of California. In 1949, there was a Federal Housing Act which basically said California's getting too crowded, or I don't know if I guess it was federal, so everywhere's getting too crowded and people need places to live, which is totally relatable because that's where we are in California now. Except in 1949, 1950s, they thought it was okay to just take land from people who legally owned it, because the government could use that land to benefit more people. A little thing which is called eminent domain, which, according to TikTok, a lot of people in, like, Wyoming and whatnot are having issues with right now also. But back to the early 1950s, because of racism and redlining, Hispanic American, Mexican Americans could really not buy property everywhere like you can today. If you have the money, that is. But the neighborhoods in Chavez Ravine were mostly Hispanic American families. And a lot of the articles that I had first learned about it from said that it was like slums and the city, the homes were falling down anyways, and it was the city being nice, let's bulldoze this and make you nicer houses. But that's not actually what happened. From interviews from people who actually lived there at the time, it was nice up-and-coming neighborhoods, and people took care of their stuff. It was nice neighborhoods, but it was Mexican American, and at the time, I'm struggling how to not say it more racistly, but basically the whites had all the power, and they didn't want to take away their own land, so they were like, let's take it from these guys. So with eminent domain, the government did offer people money for their properties, but at a fraction of the cost. That'd be like the government now being like, oh, your property's worth $800,000? We'll give you $200,000 for it. And you'd be like, no. Well, that's kind of what happened back then, but struggling to stay on point. So most of the families did end up leaving, getting evicted from their own properties. The government pushed them out. There were a few families that stayed until the very end. But before we get to the very end, in the middle of that, public's eye on housing projects changed, their opinion. And there was one person in government that ran on the platform of that he was gonna not do that housing project there at all. But because that got squashed out, the project was dead, and most of the people had already been pushed out of their homes. So some of the homes were getting dilapidated, and that's where the media now says that it was horrible rundown homes because no one was there because they had already been kicked out by the government. But by that time, the government already claimed that they owned all the land, and now they just had land. Yeah, with some squatters on it still. And at the same time, over in Brooklyn, Walter O'Malley, who was the president of Dodgers, he had wanted to build a bigger stadium and a grander place for the team to play. And yeah, he did try to find a place in Brooklyn and everywhere closer, but there weren't really many viable options for him. And somehow him and California got together and decided they were moving Dodgers all the way over to California. So it wasn't his fault that people got kicked out of their property. That was already the government's doing. But he did sign the contracts before the last of the people were out of their houses. So the people that were still holding on to their land, they did physically get carried out kicking and screaming from their homes. And then a tractor just bulldozed them down. So I can see why a lot of like grandma and grandpas nowadays that were raised during that time period and their houses got bulldozed down, why they hate the Dodgers. Yeah, I can see that. Which is also a little bit ironic being that the biggest fan group that the Dodgers have is the Mexican-American group. But it's also the group that has the most reason to hate them. Blah. So that was a little bit of the history of Dodger Stadium that I found intriguing that they didn't mention at all on this tour. And I just wanted to put it out there in case anyone else wanted to know too. Okay, now back to her tour. Or I should say, back to more of us walking around. So the tour was about 45 minutes, and I'd say like a good 25 to a half an hour was literally just us walking around backstage areas. And not really like cool behind the scenes stuff, it was more just hallways and trophy rooms.
All right. Okay, my group, welcome to the trophy hallway here at Dodger Stadium. Now this is the field level. Quite a bit to see here. We'll go through all the awards and trophies in this room and the next. Starting over here with the Gold Glove Awards. Now the Gold Glove is given to the best defensive position players in each league every year. 9 are awarded in the American League and 9 in the National League. These are real Rawlings baseball gloves that they dip in a gold mixture out in Chicago. It's a factory out there that's also utilized to dip the Oscars, the Academy Awards as well. So it's a pretty cool factory. They do a lot of trophies out there. But this gold mixture is specifically the same one used on the Oscars as well. So it's always a fun fact to tell you guys. As a franchise, the Dodgers have more gold gloves than any other team with 48 total. We got down at the far end there, the very first one awarded to Gil Hodges. That was back in 1957. And then on the far end over here, Mookie Betts was our most recent Gold Glove winner. Now, we do have a guy inside this display case, 18-time Gold Glove winner, which is pretty incredible. It is the record in all of Major League Baseball. That's going to be this guy right here, Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux won 18 Gold Gloves. Most of them were with the Braves and the Cubs, but he did play a couple seasons with the Dodgers and the Padres, won 2 as a Dodger. A variety of different mitts depending on the position that the player plays. Do a 180, take a look back behind you here at the MVPs. That is the Most Valuable Player Award. That is the highest honor you can receive as a player. It's a pretty incredible award. Dodgers as a franchise have 14 MVPs total. So that's, pretty nice. On this end, guys, we got the Silver Slugger Awards. We can just be mindful of the tripod here. But that Silver Slugger is going to be the opposite of the Gold Glove. So that's your best offensive position players in each league every year. And on the other side, you'll see our retired commemorative replica jerseys. None of these numbers that you see up here will ever be worn by a Dodger ever again. And the next thing we're doing, we're heading right up to the left, this staircase here. These lockers used to be used by the Dodgers from 1962 up until the locker room was renovated in the 2012 to 2013 off season. So for 50 years, these were the lockers of the Dodgers down in the clubhouse. Originally Dodger Stadium and training ground, original turnstile, all kinds of fun stuff. In here, as we pass through this section of the hall, you'll see the evolution of our logo and our branding, the way the cap looked, all that fun stuff. First African American players in the major leagues down the bottom right. There as well. So feel free to take a minute here. Until 5:10 when the stadium opens, you can hang out anywhere in the bleachers down here. You can take in the remainder of Dodgers batting practice. We got some outfield action going on, so lots happening if you want to go down into the seats. And then once the stadium opens at 5:10, you're free to go.
Then they gave us the opportunity to buy the photos they took of us when we first got to the stadium, but it's 2 poses for $35. By this time, it was only about 5 o'clock, so the stadium wasn't quite open yet, so everyone else was still waiting outside the gate, but they let us stay in the stadium. But they still weren't even letting us all the way into the stadium until 5:10 when everything opened. But it gave us time to wander around a bit, which was cool. And this stadium has the coolest outdoor seating, outdoor eatery, bar area that I've seen at any of the stadiums so far. It's almost like an outdoor fair for food, kind of like a theme park, really. And it gave us time to find all the cool photo op spots. And then these rolly chairs. I thought there was no way you could actually fall out of these. When I rolled around, like I was trying to throw myself off balance and I just couldn't. So he had to show me up. After the stadium was fully open, we went on our mission to find the Dodger dog. I was unsure on price. It was either $6.99 or $8 something. But we got 2 Dodger dogs and a bottle of water for about $24. So, that's the price on that. And, so this is the Dodger dog. I think people really hyped it up. I'm not really impressed with it, but you know, it's an experience, and I'm glad we're getting to have this experience. And as always, I was super excited to see that they had nacho hats. Love me a nacho hat, but I ended up not getting one because I got this. The loaded French fries and a little nacho hat. But it's fries, and it's smaller, and it's cute. And it was like $15. The chicken bowl was $20. And yes, they do also have the little ice cream hats, which I almost got, but I didn't because I got this big boy. It's a little bigger than the normal ice cream hat, but it had whipped cream chocolate and churros. And then we got these drinks, which weren't that strong, but they were way cheaper than the Padres Stadium drinks were. And then they let the people in. It was a very crowded time. And here we just got a little shot of the announcers just walking around, getting some more atmosphere. Let's take it all in. And then these characters. Look at this guy. Yeah, get it, get it, get it. So aside from him, they also had a few other characters. Different ethnicities. They were really fun to watch. So here's a view of the stadium from up high. And this is the largest professional baseball stadium we have in the U.S. So pretty excited to be here. And yeah, just enjoying my ice cream some more. They also had live entertainment. They had a DJ out in the front area when you first come in. And then they also had mariachis that sang before and during the game. Oh yeah, and this is what I live for at games. The wave. I'm still really bad at it, but it's pretty much my favorite part of the game. Woo! And we met up with my friend Tio. And he was really fun and really helpful, and he gave us a lot more history and hints about the stadium than we got on the tour. So it was really fun getting to talk to him. And yeah, our team's winning.